My mother, Ilara, was a woman who meticulously curated her image. To the outside world, she was the epitome of grace, generosity, and the loving matriarch of our sprawling family. She hosted lavish holiday dinners, remembered every birthday with a perfectly chosen, expensive gift, and spoke in dulcet tones that could disarm even the most hardened critic. But beneath that polished veneer, Ilara was a master manipulator, a woman who wielded her considerable wealth and influence like a finely honed weapon, always ensuring she remained at the apex of our family hierarchy. And I, Aisha, her only daughter, had always been acutely aware of the subtle yet searing sting of her favoritism. A favoritism that never extended to me, and certainly not to my precious daughter Zara. From my earliest memories, I was the outlier. My two older brothers, Marcus and Julian, were the golden boys, their achievements celebrated, their whims indulged. I was the quiet one, the artistic one, the one who preferred books to sports and thoughtful conversations to boisterous gatherings. My mother tolerated my differences, but rarely celebrated them. Aisha is independent, she'd say to relatives, a tight smile on her lips, as if independent was a euphemism for disappointing. I learned early on that my worth in her eyes was conditional, dependent on how well I conformed to her expectations, which I rarely did. So I carved my own path, pursuing a career in graphic design, marrying a kind, steady man named David, and pouring all my love and energy into raising our beautiful daughter Zara. Zara was my sunshine, a bright, curious, and empathetic child with a laugh that could melt glaciers. We lived a modest but comfortable life, filled with love and laughter. We weren't wealthy like my mother, but we had everything we needed. And for years, I had learned to navigate my mother's complex personality, to deflect her subtle criticisms, and to shield Zara from the casual dismissiveness that Ilara sometimes exhibited. I thought I had built an impenetrable emotional wall, a fortress around my little family. I was wrong. The wall crumbled, brick by agonizing brick, during one seemingly innocuous family gathering, an event that would forever alter the landscape of our lives. It was a warm summer evening, the air thick with the scent of jasmine and grilling meat. My mother had invited the entire extended family to her sprawling estate for what she called a special announcement. The patio buzzed with chatter, children chasing each other across the manicured lawn, their joyful shrieks punctuated by the clinking of glasses. Zara, then 8 years old, was playing tag with her cousins, her bright pink dress a blur against the green. I watched her, a pang of pure contentment in my chest. After a sumptuous dinner, my mother stood, tapping her champagne flute. A hush fell over the crowd. "My dearest family," she began, her voice resonating with theatrical warmth, "as you all know, my 70th birthday is approaching, and to celebrate this milestone, I have decided to treat us all to an unforgettable experience." A murmur of excitement rippled through the family. My mother beamed, clearly relishing the anticipation. "We are going on a 2-week luxury cruise to the Caribbean, all expenses paid." A collective gasp, then an eruption of cheers and applause. Everyone was thrilled. A luxury cruise was beyond anything most of us could afford. My mother then began to list the names, going through each of my brother's families. "Marcus, Sarah, and your wonderful children, Leo, Chloe, and Finn. Cheers. Julian, Emily, and your delightful twins, Noah and Isabella. More cheers." Then she paused, her gaze sweeping over the remaining family members, landing briefly on me. My heart gave a little hopeful flutter. Perhaps this time it would be different. Perhaps for her 70th, she would finally embrace all her grandchildren equally. And of course, my beloved nieces and nephews, their spouses and children from both sides of the family. She listed a few more names, distant cousins, even a great niece and nephew I barely knew. The list seemed endless. The excitement was palpable. Then she finished. She smiled, took a sip of champagne, and sat down. The buzz of conversation immediately resumed, everyone discussing itineraries, swimwear, and exotic destinations. My smile had frozen on my face. My heart, which had fluttered with hope, now felt like a lead weight in my chest. She hadn't mentioned Zara. She hadn't us. I felt a cold dread creep up my spine. Surely it was an oversight, a mistake. My mother, in her grand announcement, couldn't possibly have forgotten her own granddaughter, could she? I scanned the room, looking for Zara. She had stopped playing, her head tilted, a confused frown on her face. She had heard. I walked over to my mother, trying to keep my voice even, a polite smile plastered on my face. "Mother, that sounds absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited for everyone. You mentioned all the grandchildren, but did you perhaps forget to include Zara's name in the list?" I tried to make it sound light, a casual query. My mother looked at me, her smile tightening just a fraction. "Oh, Aisha dear," she said, her voice dripping with the saccharine sweetness that always signaled trouble. "I'm so sorry. I know Zara is your daughter, but you see, the guest list was finalized weeks ago, and unfortunately, we just ran out of tickets. It was a very exclusive booking, you understand, limited capacity." She gestured vaguely with her hand, as if dismissing an inconvenient fly. My smile had frozen on my face. My heart, which had fluttered with hope, now felt like a lead weight in my chest. She hadn't mentioned Zara. She hadn't us. I felt a cold dread creep up my spine. Surely it was an oversight, a mistake. My mother, in her grand announcement, couldn't possibly have forgotten her own granddaughter, could she? I scanned the room, looking for Zara. She had stopped playing, her head tilted, a confused frown on her face. She had heard. I walked over to my mother, trying to keep my voice even, a polite smile plastered on my face. "Mother, that sounds absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited for everyone. You mentioned all the grandchildren, but did you perhaps forget to include Zara's name in the list?" I tried to make it sound light, a casual query. My mother looked at me, her smile tightening just a fraction. "Oh, Aisha dear," she said, "I'm so sorry. I know Zara is your daughter, but you see, the guest list was finalized weeks ago, and unfortunately, we just ran out of tickets. It was a very exclusive booking, you understand, limited capacity." She gestured vaguely with her hand, as if dismissing an inconvenient fly. My blood ran cold. Ran out of tickets? Mother, you booked an entire luxury cruise. How could you possibly run out of tickets for your own granddaughter? My voice was rising now, betraying the calm I so desperately tried to maintain. And exclusive booking? You're paying for the entire thing. You could add another cabin if you wanted to. My mother sighed, a theatrical, put-upon sound. "Aisha, please, don't make a scene. It's a party, and honestly, Zara is, well, she's a bit young for such a sophisticated trip, isn't she? All those formal dinners and excursions, it wouldn't be fair to her to drag her along." Zara was 8. Her cousins, Leo and Noah, were 6 and 7. They were going. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not a loving mother, but a woman utterly devoid of empathy, a woman who would casually inflict pain for reasons I couldn't fathom. "You think Zara is too young? Leo is 6, Noah is 7, they're going." My voice was a harsh whisper now, laced with disbelief and betrayal. "This isn't about capacity, is it? This is about you, Mother. It's always been about you. You just don't want Zara there." My mother simply shrugged, a tiny, dismissive movement. "Don't be dramatic, Aisha. It's just a cruise. There will be other trips." Other trips she would organize, and then find another excuse to exclude Zara. I knew her patterns. I felt a burning sensation behind my eyes, a hot wave of shame and fury. I turned away, unable to bear the sight of her smug, unfeeling face. I walked toward Zara, whose small frame was now slumped on a garden bench, her eyes wide with unshed tears. "Mama, why am I not going? Am I bad?" she whispered, her voice trembling. My heart shattered into a million pieces. This wasn't just about a cruise. This was about rejection. This was about an 8-year-old child being told, implicitly, that she wasn't good enough, not loved enough, to be included in a family celebration orchestrated by her own grandmother. My mother had always made me feel like an outsider, but to do this to my child, to Zara, was an unforgivable sin. I knelt before Zara, pulling her into a tight embrace. "No, my love, you are not bad. You are wonderful. You are the best girl in the world. This has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with Grandma and her choices." I tried to keep my voice steady, but I could feel the tremor in my own throat. Zara looked up at me, her big brown eyes swimming with confusion and hurt. "But all my cousins are going. Leo said he's going to see dolphins." The innocent yearning in her voice was a dagger to my soul. I held her tighter, fighting back my own tears. That night, I cried myself to sleep, a burning ember of resentment flickering to life in my chest. The tears weren't just for Zara, but for the countless slights, the years of feeling less than, the constant struggle for my mother's genuine affection. This time, it wasn't just me. It was my child. And that changed everything. Over the next few weeks, the family WhatsApp group was alight with excited messages and photos of cruise attire. My brothers and their wives, oblivious or perhaps willfully ignorant of the pain inflicted, gushed about the luxurious cabins, the gourmet meals, the exotic destinations. My mother, of course, was the star of the show, occasionally posting selfies with my brothers, tagging them with captions like, "So excited for our family adventure." Each notification was a fresh stab. Zara would sometimes sneak a peek at my phone, her face falling as she saw pictures of her cousins trying on swimsuits or talking about snorkeling. I tried to distract her, to plan special outings for us, but the shadow of the cruise loomed large. My husband, David, was my rock. He saw my pain and Zara's, and his quiet fury matched my own. "She's gone too far, Aisha," he'd say, holding me tight. "This isn't just about being unfair, this is cruel." He suggested we take Zara on our own trip, a better one, to show her how loved she was. And we did. We saved every penny, packed a small bag, and took Zara to a charming coastal town for a few days. We built sandcastles, collected seashells, and ate ice cream until our tummies ached. Zara laughed, truly laughed, for the first time in weeks. But even as I watched her joy, the bitter taste of my mother's betrayal lingered. This was a temporary balm, not a cure. I wanted justice, not just for Zara, but for all the times my mother had made me feel small, insignificant, and unloved. My mother, Alara, had a particular obsession, the old family summer house. It wasn't grand or luxurious like her current estate, but it was steeped in history and sentiment. Located by a serene lake, it had been in our family for generations, a place where my grandparents had raised their children, where countless summer memories had been forged. It was a rustic, charming house, but it was old, in desperate need of renovation. For years, Alara had promised to fund its restoration, to turn it into a magnificent family retreat, a testament to her generosity and her commitment to our shared heritage. She envisioned a grand plaque by the entrance, bearing her name, commemorating her as the savior of the family legacy. It was her pet project, her ultimate symbol of matriarchal control and benevolence. She would often talk about it, drawing up elaborate plans, discussing architects, always making sure she was the one making it happen. This summer house became the focal point of my simmering resentment. While Alara was sailing the Caribbean, flaunting her wealth and excluding my child, I was stewing, plotting. The injustice of Zara's exclusion had transformed me. The quiet, compliant daughter was gone, replaced by a woman consumed by a cold, unwavering resolve. I realized that my mother's greatest vulnerability wasn't her money, she had plenty of that. It was her image, her control, her carefully constructed narrative of the benevolent matriarch. And the summer house was the crown jewel of that narrative. I began my research, quietly, meticulously. I found out the house's exact legal status, its current state of disrepair, and the estimated costs of a full, high-quality renovation. It was substantial, far more than David and I could afford on our current salaries. But I was determined. I started picking up freelance graphic design projects, working late into the night after Zara was asleep. David, understanding my fierce resolve, supported me wholeheartedly, taking on extra shifts, cutting back on non-essentials. We were a team, driven by a shared sense of injustice and a burning desire to heal Zara's wounded spirit. During this time, I also started reaching out to other family members, not to complain about my mother, but to simply connect. I found that my mother's favoritism wasn't limited to me. My cousins, while included on the cruise, often felt the subtle sting of her manipulation, her tendency to hold her generosity over their heads. My Aunt Clara, my mother's younger sister, was particularly sympathetic. Clara had always been the black sheep of her generation, often overshadowed by Alara's grandiosity. She confided in me about my mother's financial dealings, how Alara would often promise one thing and deliver another, or make a grand gesture only to subtly extract a favor or control later. Alara loves the idea of generosity, Aisha, Clara told me over coffee, her voice low, but she loves control more. The summer house, she wants her name on it, not because she loves the house, but because she wants to own the family's history too. Clara's words were a revelation. They solidified my plan. This wouldn't just be about denying my mother her plaque. It would be about reclaiming the family's history, about showing everyone the true meaning of generosity, free from manipulation. I worked tirelessly, fueled by coffee and a righteous anger. The small inheritance I received from my paternal grandmother, a woman who had always loved me unconditionally, became the foundation of my fund. It wasn't enough, but it was a start. I pitched bigger projects, negotiated harder, and saved every single penny. I even started a small online store selling my custom artwork, pouring all my creative energy into it. Months passed. My mother returned from her cruise, tanned and glowing, full of stories of her unforgettable family adventure. She would occasionally send Zara a postcard from a port of call, a generic image with a scribbled "wish you were here" that felt more like a taunt than a gesture of affection. Zara would look at them, her face a mixture of curiosity and lingering sadness. I would hold her, promising her that one day we would go on an even better adventure, one where she was truly cherished. Then came the opportunity. An unexpected bonus from a major project, combined with my diligent savings and the proceeds from my online store, brought me tantalizingly close to the amount needed for the summer house renovation. I took a deep breath and contacted a reputable contractor, the same one my mother had been consulting with for years. He knew the house well. I presented him with my vision, a faithful restoration, preserving its historical charm while updating it for modern comfort, with a special emphasis on creating spaces for all generations to enjoy. I explicitly stated that I wanted the project to be a gift to the entire family, a place where everyone felt welcome. My mother, meanwhile, was still dragging her feet. She was negotiating with a contractor, trying to cut costs, insisting on certain design elements that would clearly put her stamp on the house rather than honoring its history. She was waiting for the perfect moment to announce her grand undertaking, probably at her next big family gathering, ensuring maximum fanfare and praise. But I was faster. I secured the contractor, signed the papers, and transferred the funds. The renovation began quietly, discreetly. I asked the contractor to keep my involvement under wraps for as long as possible. The house was far enough from the main family hub that the initial work went unnoticed by most. My mother, confident in her control, remained oblivious. As the renovation neared completion, I began to plan the unveiling.
It would be at the end of summer, just before school started, a time when the family traditionally gathered for a final barbecue at Ilara's estate. It was her territory, her stage, and I was going to turn it into mine. I commissioned a beautiful, timeless plaque for the renovated summer house. It read, "The family name Summer House, a testament to enduring family bonds and cherished memories, dedicated to all who find joy and solace within these walls. Restored with love by AITA and David in honor of our shared legacy." There was no mention of Ilara, not a single word. And for good measure, I had a large, vibrant portrait of Zara laughing joyfully by the lake, framed and prominently placed in the main living area, a silent, powerful symbol of inclusion and belonging.
The day of the barbecue arrived. The air was crisp, signaling the turning of the seasons. My mother was in her element, flitting between guests, accepting compliments on her pristine garden and her culinary prowess. My brothers and their families were there, along with numerous aunts, uncles, and cousins. Zara, dressed in a pretty sundress, held my hand, a nervous excitement in her eyes. She knew something was coming, though not the full extent. As the sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the lawn, I caught my mother's eye. She smiled, a little patronizingly, as if I were a background character in her grand production. I took a deep breath, walked to the center of the patio, and tapped a glass. The chatter slowly died down, everyone turning to look at me, surprised. My mother's smile faltered. She hadn't expected me to speak. "Excuse me, everyone," I began, my voice clear and steady, belying the tremor in my hands. "Before we enjoy dessert, I have a small announcement I'd like to share. Many of you know about the old family summer house by the lake. It's a place filled with so many precious memories for all of us, a true anchor of our family's history." I paused, letting my words sink in. My mother was now looking at me with narrowed eyes, a flicker of suspicion in their depths. "For years," I continued, my gaze sweeping over the family, "we've all talked about its need for restoration. And I know many of us, especially Mother, have had dreams for its future. Well, I'm thrilled to announce that the dream has become a reality. The summer house has been fully renovated." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. My mother's face went from suspicion to utter shock, then a mask of furious disbelief. "What are you talking about, Aisha?" she interjected, her voice sharp, abandoning her earlier pretense of politeness. "I was planning the renovation. I had architects, contractors." I met her gaze, a calm, unwavering strength radiating from me. "Indeed, Mother, and I used the same excellent contractor you had been consulting with. He understood the vision to honor our family's past while creating a welcoming space for its future. And I'm proud to say that David and I have fully funded the entire project, ensuring it's a gift to all of us, a place where every family member, every grandchild, is always welcome." I emphasized every grandchild, letting the words hang in the air, a silent indictment of her past cruelty. My brothers looked stunned. My cousins exchanged bewildered glances. Aunt Clara gave me a small, knowing smile. My mother, Ilara, was speechless, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Her carefully constructed image, her grand plan to be the savior of the family legacy, had been utterly usurped, not by a rival, but by her own disappointing daughter. "Tomorrow morning," I announced, my voice ringing with a quiet triumph, "we'll be having a small gathering at the house for its official unveiling. Everyone is invited. We'll have a casual brunch, and you can all see the transformation for yourselves. I've even made sure there's a special tribute to the spirit of our family, past and present, inside." I knew the portrait of Zara would be the final visceral punch. The next morning, the summer house buzzed with a different kind of energy. It was beautiful, truly beautiful. The old wooden floors gleamed, the walls were painted in warm, inviting tones, and modern amenities were seamlessly blended with rustic charm. Sunlight streamed through newly installed windows, illuminating the carefully chosen decor. And there, in the heart of the living room, was the vibrant portrait of Zara, her infectious smile radiating warmth and joy. Family members wandered through the rooms, exclaiming in delight, their faces filled with genuine admiration. They saw the plaque, read the inscription, and understood. This